It's coming. Hi there, this is Ramona Shaw, and we're doing a quick audio test because I just went live and there was an audio issue. So we're going to try this again. Hold on 1 minute, bear with me as I'm checking the audio. Okay, it sounds like we're doing, this is working. And audio is doing good? Wonderful. So this time the audio is working. So we're going to go again. I apologize for those of you who have joined in earlier and didn't hear me as we were figuring this out. I'm not sure what happened because I have the same settings, but here we deal with it. I welcome you to this first session on leading through the storm, how to be and show up as the resilient leader your team needs right now. This is a 5-day live series. I'll be going live for about 30 minutes every morning at 9 o'clock. Tomorrow, we're going to do this at 8 o'clock Pacific time. And then again at 1:30 in the afternoon, where sometimes it'll be me this afternoon, but then the next 3 days, it'll actually be and excuse me, it'll actually be another expert who will come in and talk about a specific topic. All of this is really to support you through this crisis and help you lead your team better through this environment of uncertainty and chaos and fear. In normal times, my big mission is to help people feel connected with what they're doing at work and to thrive. I believe that there should be 70% of people who feel engaged at work, not 70% of people who feel disengaged at work. I believe that a big factor in this is the employee-manager relationship. And I dedicate my work to helping leaders build stronger connections with their team members, improve their leadership capabilities, to achieve more, have a greater impact, build a team where team members love going to work on Mondays because they enjoy the contributions that they get to make and they enjoy the people that they're working with, including their boss. Now, in this current time, my focus is shifting to help you lead your team through this environment. And the reason is what I want to show you here on the screen in a second is that you can go through this crisis and you can end up, let me draw this for you. Here, give me 1 second as I'm pulling up my screen for you. So follow me along. The big difference here is where we're at right now. And the reason why this is so important is because we can either end this, here we go. Okay. We can either, this is where we're at right now in the very beginning here, and we can either end this crisis up here where we're more connected and more engaged as a team. People are more loyal to you, to the organization, to their team. They are more motivated and more aligned with the overall vision and the goals that you have and your company has. Or if you're not managing this crisis well, it can easily go downward here, where your team will be more disjointed, disconnected. Loyalty was broken because they don't feel like you cared for them or you supported them during this difficult time. They didn't feel like they were taken care of, and so loyalty breaks. And at that point, disengagement is the next logical step, which will lead to lower productivity, higher turnover rates, and a lower morale on the team. That's not where we want to be, right? We want to go up here. And my mission is, my work here is dedicated to help you be on this upward trajectory. And that's what I do with my clients and what I try to do in this group for the next 5 days as well. There's a few important factors right now that you need to consider and be aware of as you're navigating this little bubble here in the beginning, that will change and influence the trajectory of this development. Will it go up or will it go down? Now, the number one thing to be aware of is that people come first in times of crisis. That includes the people on your team, it includes yourself, and it includes then the lower level, but still important, the clients, your boss, and other stakeholders that you have. But you are first, which is what we're going to talk about here. It's you, it's people on your team, and then everyone else that you work with. And of course, your family and your loved ones as well. Reason why you are first, it's very simple. This principle that has been proven and tested, that you need to put your oxygen mask on first before you can help others. Now, we entered into this crisis a few weeks ago thinking that schools will be out for 2 weeks and we might be home working remote for about 2 weeks. That's the assumption that I had when our schools closed. Well, okay, this is a 2 week thing. We can get through this, this 2 week time frame. We can get creative. We can push ourselves. We can sleep a little less and do a little less self-care and sacrifice on some of the things like exercising or eating healthy for a little while. But this is not a sustainable tactic. This is not a sustainable tactic or strategy to keep your productivity up and to help you be resilient and show up for your team the way you need to. But before we dive into resiliency overall, I want to show you, give a bigger perspective of where we're at right now and why I created this 5-day series right now to help you navigate this crisis. Because we're in an environment that's I'm going to actually move over here. That's a very typical VUCA environment. Now, VUCA is a term that was coined by the military, and it stands for volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. The current storm that we're in is a perfect example of a VUCA environment. With the news changing every single day, there are a lot of, I'm going to quickly check and make sure that people can still hear me as I'm in here. We can still, okay, great. So we can still, be, news will change on every day, and we have to adapt and keep changing over and over again. The place where we want to get to, so whenever we're talking about VUCA and all this uncertainty, volatility is coming at us, in our minds, we want to shift perspective and look at how to create calm. Calm stands for clarity, assurance, leadership, and movement. We'll be talking about all these 4 aspects for the rest of this week, because clarity in communication and how you show up in setting goals and setting expectations, incredibly important. Assurance of assuring what you can assure of and what you can control and provide that to your team members, incredibly important. Leadership in how you show up right now and how you navigate this is going to make or break it. And then movement, forward movement, that is all into moving into action and not retracting into fear. Because what we know about fear is retracting, fear is holding us back from taking action. It is also similar to the distraction versus traction moving us forward. Distraction is what holds us back from moving towards our goals. It is also what's not allowing us to show up courageously. So if we give in to fear and we're being reactive and contracted, we're not showing up with courage, which also means without the courage, we're not able to test things, do things, act, and then gain confidence. This upward spiral of acting, increasing competence and an increasing confidence will help you show up as the leader that you need to be right now. So that is why fear is the opposite of where we want to go. And yes, we do feel fear, but that's not that place we want to stay in. It's good to fear and then move ourselves out of it and start acting. You do small steps, small movements forward that will increase competence and confidence. And then you keep going at it, just like you train your biceps at the gym. It's incremental, small steps. And the same thing is true here. Now, that's the current environment that we're in. I also wanted to show you the massive pyramid about with our personal needs, right? So you're familiar with this concept of physiological needs with food and shelter, and then we have the safety needs on top of that, the love and well-being. Once that is fulfilled and we feel okay with it, then we move into the self-esteem and esteem phase, and then the last one is self-actualization. So that's the hierarchy and the priorities that we have on a personal level. On a corporate level, we're currently in the environment where we started with the crisis response. So probably you've experienced this, that in the first couple of weeks, starting sometime mid-March, we moved into crisis response. Every day news was released that impacted companies to figure out, should we go remote, should we not, should we close stores, should we keep them open, what safety measures do we need to put in place in order to support our business and employees. That was very much crisis response. It was also crisis response for many companies to just stop unnecessary expenses. Now, a lot of companies went into modeling and figuring out, okay, what is it really that we need to shut down? What is it that we need to close for the longer term, not just for the intermediate, but how are we going to navigate the next 6 months? This is also the time to reflect on what expenses to cut, yet which investments to keep or to increase. Because what we know from research of which companies and apply it back to your team will come out of a crisis stronger. It's those companies that recognize which expenses to cut and yet which investments to increase. In research published on HBR, there are about 9% that come out of a crisis and overall stronger than they were before. There's the ones that cut too much and the ones that cut too little, but then there's the ones in the middle that cut expenses, but increase investments. That includes leadership investment and investments in employees that are carrying a big load and big responsibilities. It also means investing in new product lines and services that will that are part of the pivot plan, the new strategy. But it also means investments such as acquisitions and things that are on sale right now, right? So those are the let me go back here. Those are sort of this is where we're at right now, and I can see on my screen here that I'm still showing a different image, so this may be a little bit delayed. So this is, if you look at the pyramid, I'm going to show you here, right? We have the Maslow pyramid that goes up, and similarly, we have the corporate response or corporate priority period, and the bottom is crisis response. We've gone through that. We're now moving into this survival phase where we're moving up a ladder and looking at more midterm outlook of what we're going to do the next 6 months. And then we're going to move into recovery phase, and from recovery into growth. So recovery is into pivoting, and then growth, it's looking forward of, okay, how do we progress from here? What does the future look like? And at the very top, it's obviously the vision, which is our long-term goal, similar to on the personal side, self-actualization. This is just to get a spectrum from the VUCA environment where we're at right now, but then also where are we in this timeline of response in this moment. I'm setting the ground here for what the work we're going to do through the rest of this week and the things to address. Now, the other thing I want to talk about that's really important here is now resilience. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here for a moment and talk about resilience. The title of this particular session is how to be and show up as the resilient leader your team needs right now. And I alluded to the fact that your oxygen masks need to come on first before you help anyone else. So how do you become more resilient? There's 4 specific ways I want to talk about. First one is to manage your personal energy. And yes, this of course includes the sleep, the exercise, and the healthy nutrition. And you know that already. So I'm not going to talk about things that are very clear, and you can find tons of information on it already. But what I encourage you to look at is how are you actually doing it? So common sense is not common practice. The things that we know we need to do is not necessarily what we're actually doing. a client of mine created this beautiful resiliency tracker that I will share down below, where she's checking every day what is she doing for her body, her mind, her soul, and in terms of connections. The reason why is that she then evaluates at the end of it she can see what has rejuvenated her, what has made her feel better, and what has been draining. And with the awareness that she's gaining from this, she can then take the right actions and do the right practices in her day-to-day life to improve her personal energy level. This is important. We're in it for a marathon, not in it for a sprint. The other thing that's really, really important, and why we want to talk about resilience, is because you control the weather on your team. You control the weather. So if you're showing up tired, exhausted, you get triggered easily, or you give in to fear, which is something that we do naturally more of when we're stressed and tired, we're starting to be more reactive and less logical, then your team will pick up on your thoughts, and your thoughts create your feelings, and your feelings will create your actions. So if you've done any work with me prior, you know this model, right? What we think determines what we feel, and what we feel determines our action. So if you are determining the weather on your team, and your thoughts will be influencing the thoughts that people on your team have, your ability to control your thoughts and influence them is more important than anything else. Because if you're feeling or being reactive and feeling stressed, then so will the likelihood for your team members to feel that way will increase drastically. Then they will feel more stressed themselves, and as a result, they will act a certain way. And this is what will change the trajectory of whether your curve is going to go up, like I showed in the chart at the beginning, or that curve will go down. Okay, so this is the differentiator. Will you influence and control yourself and manage yourself well, so that you're showing up as your best self, and help your team do the same, that upward spiral, or will it be a downward spiral? So managing your personal energy, I'll link to that spreadsheet down below, but think about this for yourself. Speaking of this specifically, there is a concept, and I will put that into the handout for this session, that will look at surviving versus thriving. And this is what I encourage you to do after this session, because I can tell you all about how to have a morning routine or an evening routine, and how to eat healthy and all that. But ultimately, it doesn't matter if it doesn't connect to you, if it doesn't feel right to you. And there is no one size fits all. Despite all the blog posts and all the things out there, there is no one size fits all. It has to fit you and your schedule. So think about, what are the areas, the things that you currently experience or tolerate, that are putting you in the survival state of being reactive, and maybe more contracting or in a fear state, versus what are the things that you're doing or can do that will make you feel like you're thriving despite the circumstances. Because resilience is being able to maintain equilibrium even during stressful times. We cannot influence the stresses, but we can influence how we face them. So, what do you need to do in order to thrive and maintain equilibrium despite the stresses? For example, I need to do walking meetings more often, right? If I have a call with just a colleague or something where I don't need to take tons of notes or be on a screen, I will go on a walking meeting and just circle around the block. I know this is something that helps me thrive. I help a neighbor. I know that helping others will help me feel better. The daily exercises, even if it's, gosh, just 10 minutes a day, right? Those little things that will make me feel better. Maybe it's meditation. Maybe it's following a particular schedule. Maybe it's not opening a computer after 6 o'clock or after 8 o'clock. Maybe it's not watching the news more than 2 times a day and restricting that to 10 minutes. Those are all little boundaries and things that we can define, but we're not going to do it unless we get crystal clear in the beginning about what it is and what I want to do. If we wing it and we go by day, we're being reactive to everything that's coming to us. This is the time to take charge of what does it need to look like for you? How do your days need to look like? And then how can I make that work? What are the things that will make me thrive and feel rejuvenated? And what are the things that will make me feel fearful or contracted? Get really, really clear on this. So going back to the 4 points to improve resiliency. One is manage your energy. So do this exercise of thriving versus surviving versus thriving. The second one is to choose the lens that you look at challenges and then decide how you want to think about them. We're going through our days as story making machines. Regardless of what's going on in this world, we're all making stories up in our heads of what is going on and what that means to me. So if I look at currently, I'm stuck at home, and I could say, oh my God, I'm stuck at home, just the words, right? I'm stuck at home and it's yet another day where I can't go anywhere and I'm just have to sit here. Or I can look at the same situation, say, like, I'm so grateful that I am safe at home and I don't have to go out and be in a hospital and be exposed to the virus, or to be at the grocery store and wearing masks and gloves and sunglasses and what else is needed to protect myself properly. And I can just be here by myself at home in this comfortable place. Same situation, two different lenses. And this is an easy example, but this will show up in many different areas of your life as you go through your days. So be aware of the thoughts that you have. Again, those will flow over to the thoughts that your team members have, and challenge your beliefs and challenge your perspective. You choose your lens. The more you can see and focus on the things that you can control and look at opportunities that way and see the positive and be grateful for certain things that you have or can do, or that you notice in the environment, the more resiliency you will feel in your day to day. Okay. So that's number two. Number three is to accept and continuously accept the changes in the environment. Again, you cannot control the things you can control. You can control what you can control. What a beautiful sentence. So accept what's going on and the things that you can control, then act on the things that you can control, reflect on what happened and learn from it. So this continuous loop is important. By the way, this is not going to be the only crisis you'll experience in your career. So this is a moment to track with a journal or take notes and reflect on what are you experiencing, what's working for you and for your team, and what is not. And then capture those reflections and those notes so that you can learn. If you just go in and go out and you don't do the reflection, your learning will not be nearly as high as if you reflect on it. And by the way, action is great, but just like a muscle that grows in recovery phase and not while you're at the gym, you grow while you reflect. That's where the maturity of your growth will happen. So use these sessions that we're having this week to reflect on the things that you're doing and what you could do more of or less of, and what's been working for you or what you want to do instead. Muscle grows in recovery phase. And so does the leadership development. The largest chunk comes from being in a reflective mode, be this through coaching, training, or participating in conversations like this. So reflect on it and learn. That's the third aspect that will help, your third way to help you become more resilient. And then the fourth way is to connect to your big vision or your mission or your why. Why are you doing what you're doing? Or what is your company doing? And how is that important to you? Why are you showing up for your team? That doesn't have to do with the product or the service that your company sells. It may just be that you want them, your big why is to help them feel supported, to be an outlet or someone who helps them be successful and grow, help others grow. It may be that your big vision is to help underprivileged people in our society, or that you help, it has to do with the product, or you help people feel more connected through a virtual medium or something, right? But get connected to it. So if I, for example, showed up this crisis is happening, and I could easily say, like, you know what, I'm going to slow down on my business and shift my focus to be with my kids. And a lot of people are doing that, and I get it. But when I connect to my big why, gosh, I get excited and I'm on fire to help you get through this crisis and be the one that lands on that upper curve, and you come out of it as a stronger, more connected, with a stronger, more connected team, and as a stronger leader. So this is the time to do the work that I dedicate my career to help leaders do this and know what next steps to take and what to prioritize and what not to prioritize, to capture their learnings and to reflect and get better at it, make small shifts that will have a huge impact. So for me, I'm excited and thrilled to be here and do this type of work in any possible way that I can for my clients and for anyone here in this group, and otherwise, because I'm deeply connected to my vision and to my why. So these are the 4 ways. Again, I'm going to quickly repeat: manage your personal energy, choose your lens and reflect how you're looking at the things that are happening, act or accept, act, reflect, and learn is number 3. And then the 4th one is to connect to your mission and your bigger why. When you do those 4 things, your resilience will go up, your stamina will go up, and you'll be sustainably productive throughout this crisis. And you can actually show up as the leader that your team needs you to be right now. We'll go into what that exactly looks like in terms of this calm environment of clarity, assurance, leadership, and movement throughout the rest of this week to help you with the actionable, clear things to do. My goal here is for you to give you perspective, suggestions, and encouragement throughout this week to help you navigate this challenge. In the links below, I will include a PDF that's editable that you can use to capture some notes, to do the exercise of surviving to thriving, so that you're not just listening to this, because information is easy, but to actually turn this into action and application for yourself, because this is what this is about. I want you to leave this session, look at your daily routines and things that make you feel better and rejuvenated, and things that drain you, that you might do unconsciously, so that you're building resiliency. Also, to look at the 4 ways that you can do to increase resilience, to see what you might need to do a little more of or less of. That's my encouragement and my suggestion for today. I'll see you at 1:30 Pacific time this afternoon to talk about how you can leverage your strength, how first you can find out your strength, and 2, leverage your strength to show up as a better leader right now. Because when we leverage our strength, we'll make the biggest impact. And it's coming, that comes way easier to us than trying to improve weaknesses. And then the additional aspect here is to figure out how different people on your team now react to this crisis differently, and how you can pick up on this and how you can best support them depending on how they're reacting. We're not all wired the same way. We're not all responding to this crisis the same way. And best you have figured that out by now. And so how do you figure out how to best support each member on your team? That's what we're going to talk about this afternoon. And I am looking forward to seeing you there. If you have any questions on this, comment below or just make a post in this Facebook group. I'm here to support you throughout this week, and I'll see you soon.